I appreciate you so much for taking the time to do this little chat with me, Stormy. I don't really want to do much of the talking. I want to hear from you. So, my first off, you are my co-founder Ranisha's cousin.
First cousin.
Awesome, first cousin. So yeah, why don't you tell us a bit about, and you're also a San Francisco native. Tell us about growing up in the cities, your childhood, what schools you went to, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so maybe I'll just start off with a little bit about family. And our family originated from Vicksburg, Mississippi. My great grandmother came here with 14 of her children with her husband, my great grandfather, Bill, and we called him Dad, Pop Sanders, with Johnsons. My grandmother's the Sanders and great grandfather's a Johnson. So the family took on the last name Johnson. And we came to the Fillmore District. We came to the Fillmore District where we already had family members who had migrated this way from down south and helped my grandmother, my great grandmother, get on her feet. Where my first recollections of her would be at like 5 years old, and we lived in the Hayes Valley development, housing development at that time. But before I got to Hayes Valley, I was born on the Upper Haight, on Haight and Steiner,
No.
where a lot of my family lived up in the Upper Haight area, in the Visadero area. That's where we first came to, was the Visadero area, where my aunt Frank, which is my great grandmother's sister, was one of the first Black families to own land and property in that area. So the family still has a home here in San Francisco, I believe, and it's painted red, gold, and green with the lions out front. And my earliest memories of that house, it was a beautiful, lovely home that I learned was built with humble earnings. It just come from humble beginnings and humble earnings. And that's where we started off at. We started off in the Upper Hay area with a very, very large family, a very large family. From the 14, there's extensions of extensions of extensions, and we'll later get into that.
I love this. Okay, okay. So you're third generation or fourth generation?
Fourth,
Fourth. Wow. Awesome. What high school did you go to?
I originally started at Galileo High.
Okay.
I originally started at Galileo. My earliest education came from the Mission District. I went to Hawthorne Elementary. I was bused. I was bused because John Muir was not fitting for us, like for my mom. I don't know why, but it was just like right across the street, and Sister Girl couldn't get me there on time half the time, so they kicked me out in pre-kindergarten. And I ended up going down to Shotwell and Mission. It's called Cesar Chavez now, but it was Hawthorne Elementary then. And up until last year, that was the only school I ever graduated from. So like
What
successfully
happened last year?
graduated from and got my diploma in my hand and was able to, go, because I had a little trouble in middle school that didn't allow me to walk the stage. And high school I had some troubles, obviously, but yeah. I went to Galileo High. I went to Ida B. Wells.
Yes, I did.
And I've even had the misfortune and fortune of living out of the city at some point in my life, going to like Pinole Valley High, Fairfield High, Armiel High, Samuel L. Gumpers in Richmond. I've went to a few high schools throughout the Bay Area, up and down the little, I guess the peninsula you'll call it.
Wow. So
I've been a few places, and went to a few different high schools, seen education on different levels.
interesting. Wow. I'm so glad I asked that question. Awesome. So, if you don't mind me asking, what do you do for work now?
Oh, so right now you're catching me on my 1,000 days of journey to 2024. So I just ran for president of a housing development where I ran and won presidency. And that's a full-time volunteer. That's a full-time volunteer job where I get to organize and I have funding to do certain programs and better the lives of the residents here in Robert B. Pitts. And I also am doing case management right now for a consulting firm that works in the housing developments of the redeveloped housing places that works with clients that need help in these developments. I once was a client for the firm that I'm working for right now.
Oh, awesome. Look at you giving and giving right back.
Yeah, I like that. I like a swift return. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to owe the community for too long.
No, no, right. I love that. Okay. So what's gonna happen? What's your plans for 2024?
My plans for 2024. Oh, district supervisor for
Yes.
San Francisco for Fillmore.
Okay. Okay. Oh, awesome. I love hearing that. And if you don't mind me asking, I know you
I
guys.
don't mind you asking anything.
Okay,
So
I'll stop asking
have
then.
a way. I'm an open book. I am
Okay.
that. I'm that girl. I like to be that girl because I have no cards you can pull and be like, well, you said no. I'm her all the way around. Like that's if I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. That's just who I am.
I appreciate that.
No
So
worries.
what's your connection to our current mayor,
My connection to your current mayor is the
London Breed, for those who don't know?
London Breed, Mayor London Breed, who also was once district supervisor here in District 5 in the Fillmore district. Neighbor, family member, high supporter, um, this disputing the family side, like more of a moral supporter, um, and just like a leader, a strong leader. Like we don't always agree. Like people would think that like I always agree with all her politics. I don't agree with all of nothing nobody ever does.
Right.
Like that's just me. That's who I am. It's I don't I'm not I will be the only naysayer in the room. And it's not on purpose. It's just like I don't always agree with what everybody always have going on. It's that's just who I am. But I agree with everything that she has going on currently right now because I see it being fitting for the city and what's going on. And she does a lot of things that keeps me in her praises that don't get her nationally recognized. And I would like to bring those those things to light that she does do. Outside of national recognition or always getting the finger pointed at somebody. She does a really great job of giving back into her community. And I have received no special privileges. I have no special job. I have to apply like everybody else. And I just hope that she sees the work that she laid down for us to do and pick up. And I just want to do that.
Awesome. I love hearing that. I think she's done a fabulous job during this pandemic. Like like SF tends to be, we are the trendsetters, and she has been our
And everything.
yeah. She has absolutely been absolutely fantastic. So going on from that, you obviously have a rich history in San Francisco. We are a few of the natives left. What are the changes that you've seen in the city since your childhood? Have they been positive? Have they been negative? What are like I want to hear what your perspective is on some of the changes that.
The big pink elephant in the room needs to be addressed, and that's redevelopment. Redevelopment is the big ugly pink elephant in the room that has ripped San Francisco apart with numbers from stage one in the early 90s to the early 2000s for the second coming of redevelopment. And it took a lot of numbers. I'll use a housing development that London and I both lived in, Plaza East. Those were over 200 units, over 200 units there,
Oh
and
my
maybe over
gosh.
300 units between us on Eddy, Buchanan, Turk,
Oh,
yeah, Plaza
okay,
East,
okay,
right there. Those were like 10, 11 stories high with at least 10 units on each floor. And there were two buildings like that. And then there was an adjacent building on the other side that held units. We only probably got one building back, if that, like in number of units.
Wow.
So redevelopment scarred me early. It scarred me early and it displaced me early. But being that I had a very large family, which I said I will go back into with other stories, I had the privilege of already visiting these developments growing up, having a large family in the Bayview Hunters Point. I was able to grow up in what is called West Point, Middle Point Road, Harbor Road, Sunnydale Projects, Potrero Hill. I had aunts that lived in these great aunts that lived in these developments that I was able to visit their home and grow up with kids before there was a "where are you from" in your vocabulary, or you felt like it was a hood before it became a hood or any gang violence. I had already been in many developments with many cousins and had the privilege of living. So when redevelopment came for us and we had to move to the Bayview Hunters Point out of Fillmore, um, I wasn't very uncomfortable, but there were a lot of families that were, and they had left San Francisco, and a lot of these families weren't able to move back, so they took a lot of numbers. They took a lot of families and just, displaced a lot of families. Redevelopment, that was very ugly. And I had to grow up in that and also be displaced in my adulthood to live and be forced to be lived in the Bayview Hunters Point area, which I call it the blessing and the curse of redevelopment. Like it's like two parts with me with redevelopment because being a child living somewhere is different. You see it in different eyes, but when you're an adult, I had gotten familiar with community. I learned community living in the Alice Griffith community, which is AKA Double Rock. I learned community there where I was, excuse me, under the teachings of Dwayne Jones, who was the assistant of our now governor, Gavin Newsom. I worked very, very close with Mayor Gavin Newsom on introducing redevelopment to a part of San Francisco that already heard about the extremities and traumas that came with redevelopment, the fears. So I played a big part in getting that development ready for redevelopment.
Specifically Alice Griffith.
Mhm.
Okay.
Getting them comfortable with the developers. I um, I got very close with the developers, Michael Cohen, Kofi Bonner, these guys. I trusted them with the community. We already knew that they were rogue developers, but we needed them to give more of their self to the community, to present, to give us opportunity to design our own homes, to feel more safe about the developing of Alice Griffith. They didn't want to believe a lot of the things that we first initiated. I worked for an organization called Acorn, where I came in, grassroots organization, organizing to just register voters, register voters. And it became into helping the residents there who were living in unfair living conditions, like what I'm doing right now, helping people with case management. I started doing that, and they ended up getting involved with the redevelopment plot to make sure that the tenants did not get displaced or evicted, to hurry up and get the process of the redevelopment going. So with doing that, we developed laws in place, and we did end up getting um, 1-for-1 tenant unit replacement for existing units and existing residents. So everyone who stayed and didn't get evicted was guaranteed a place over in the new development. They didn't have to leave where they were. They just build and then they went over. That is how we did that, instead of how they did it with us in the Fillmore, where you go, we build it, and we might let you back in. It was like that at first. So we kind of like structured that and had that in place. I went hard on Sophie Maxwell and other district supervisors who were in place when all of the redevelopment in Hunters Point was going on. They taught me a lot of political views over there. They kind of like awakened a fire in me to be able to give back and do what I now plan to do for my community. But I have to give props to them because they initiated and gave me the ground to even be able to do the work. They initiated the ground of me to be able to go to Congress twice, to be able to introduce comprehensive immigration reform to Nancy Pelosi. That community, that small little branch, the southeast sector of San Francisco, going under construction, awakened a whole lot inside of the little girl who was born in San Francisco to make sure that displacement and unfair housing and unfair rights would no longer, be able to succeed here in San Francisco.
Wow. So I'm gonna be honest, like you, I keep it real. I have some questions in front of me, but it seems like we already got to the heart of the issue because I have a burning question in myself.
Go
I
ahead.
grew up I grew up in the Excelsior over on that side. My best friend growing up lived at the top of Kirkwood. And I remember driving to drop him off after my 8th grade birthday party. And the scene that was driving him up from where we lived. And then I literally went back to the same exact spot a couple weeks ago to go visit a friend who now lives there. And it's like day and night. Like I could not believe that it was that we were on Kirkwood Road. So I guess my question is, or my question, and like, what on earth? And then the same thing, the numbers, like you said, of Black people in my lifetime, which I'm 27, have dropped from 11% down to 4%. I guess.
Oh, it's 4 now?
Oh, okay. Yeah, last I checked was 4. Yeah.
Uh,
So I guess my question is, what is it exactly about the Bayview, and why is it that people always end up there? That's where they're quote unquote, like, let's be honest, that's where it sounds like that's where they're dumping people, number one. But number two, I checked and it's like the places that they're building are like luxury condos. Those are not even like affordable living anymore.
Okay, so going back to Alice Griffith right quick, the environmental impact report was 3,000 pages long, I believe. And I'm not gonna lie, I did not get to go through it totally because I was really fighting for comprehensive immigration reform because I already knew that they were going to build. They're built on landfill over there. So a lot of these places that they build back there on that's why Candlestick isn't there anymore. The flooding, the erosion of the roads and stuff like that, it all has something to do with that. And that's why they're dumping, because they can, and they allowed them to. They would have been able, if they weren't so scared of not being able to come back and could get the right legislation in place with the right developers, they would have been able to move somewhere else or have them to build or tear down a certain part and move over. But the land that they tore down, that the housing development was initially on, that's the good land. That's the good land. The land that they built on was they already had housing there in the 70s and 80s, and they flooded and they tore them down. They were 3-story apartments there of Double Rock Alice Griffith that worked there when I did live there for 10 years. But prior to that, 20 years before, there were 3 stories there that they had to demolish because it was built on landfill, and it's right next to the end of the water right there. And that dirtiness comes up through there. They're living in cancerous buildings. It has a warning label inside where they live. And I believe that the Bayview Hunters Point carries a high level of asthma, cancer, and many other sicknesses and ailments that I'm blessed. Like I said, it's a blessing and a curse. I got out of there and was able to come back home to the Fillmore to be able to help them with the second round of what looks like it's going to be another redevelopment stage.
So it sounds like redevelopment can sometimes be a good thing, but it can, am I hearing that right? And it can sometimes be a bad thing?
It's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing when the developer wants to do right by the people. It's a curse when they already rich and they want more money and they just don't care. And a lot of that comes with not having the community ready for what they're about to receive. Okay. If you give somebody something that they've been living in ran down for years, and then you go put them in a condo, they don't know how to keep up with the condo. You should have been proper in your first, living situations. Like, The housing authority shouldn't have let us live so deplorably. You know what I'm saying? They should have been good landlords, so that we could have been living in better living conditions. But now, no, you take us from this to that, and then you want to say, oh, they don't know how to take care of the property, or they're rough on this or rough on that. We're used to not being able to have a relationship with somebody that can come in and fix our apartment like normal people were supposed to. So a lot of these places that get redeveloped, they get redeveloped with people with the same mind frame, that they are dealing with the same landlords because it's the same area, the same property. And that's another thing why I ran for presidency up here, so I could try to get that mind frame out of people, to like try to show them that you live in a townhouse condominium. You have two doors in your house. You do not live in a project. It could be everybody lives in a project if that's the case. The project is to see if you have this amount of money and you have this amount of money, how are you going to live your life and how are you going to live your life? We're both projects. You're brown, I'm black, and we're both in San Francisco. I'm a lesbian, and you're a gay man, and we're going to see how they both thrive with him over us. We're both a project. Everybody's a project. So
what, if any, are as a solution forward and if that's even something that that you've seen that far into, and that the community has seen that far into, to this issue. It sounds like, really, like you said, keeping the redevelopers accountable, but who's even letting the developers in? You know what I mean? It sounds like you really, like, the city is like, and like
it's not the city. It's the people. You have to start with the people. The city, that's another person you could blame. That's why I wouldn't mind being district supervisor. I see my mayor get a lot of rhetoric, and it is not even her that you should even be talking to first. You should be talking to your district supervisor. Okay. You should be talking to that person who, in line, will go and report to your mayor. The people, the people are the power people. We are the people who make the no. I'm a noisemaker. I like to go get in their face and tell them where they have wrongly, what they haven't done, make them be accountable for. We need more people to do that. We need more people to do that. We need more people to do that. Like, those are the voters. Those are the people who pay the tax. If you pay a tax, you should have something to say.
I agree, 100%.
You should be saying something. If it's something that you don't like, and somebody is getting your money before you even get it, you should be all up in their talking. You should be all in their face saying everything that needs to be, because guess what? They got paid before you did.
Right.
They're
going to keep getting paid.
And they're going to keep getting paid, and they're going to keep doing what you don't like if you don't voice an opinion. So I believe we're starting with the people, arising with the people, healing the people, coming to the people.
So it's really, really a grassroots initiative is how you.
That is where my passion first was would lit up with helping people. I've been to Detroit to help the housing crisis in 2007, to help people really live the American dream instead of the American nightmare. I've given to people on levels I don't even have. I have not even had the gifts that they have to help them save what they have, so that one day it can hopefully be a blessing for me. Helping people save their homes, and I'm still living in a housing development, is a big push. You could be like, I don't care, they got their own house, they got a house. I'm trying to get a house. But no, these people worked hard, they saved, they came from maybe worse conditions than myself and gave everything that they had on the line, and they were ripped out and cheated, right from their own government and people who agreed with for just money.
Wow. So, not to change gears too much, but last year, Governor Newsom, who used to be our mayor, fellow San Francisco native, introduced a resolution for a reparations bill. He introduced a timeline. I don't know how much you know about it, but
you said reparations.
Right, to give reparations specifically for and I'm going to read exactly what it says in the bill.
You see my face light up? So when Black people hear reparations,
Everybody else benefits. That's the way I see it. Okay, so do you not believe it? Do you go? Let me know what's going on through your mind.
Okay, so I am a big Gavin Newsom supporter, like, because anybody who has worked with me personally, remember my name personally, um, you know, walks around my development and really shows genuine concern about the community that I'm a part of at that time. And he didn't really have to, but he did. I continue to support him. I told him wherever, if he always did right by what he said he would do, he would always have my support and I would drive for him. So if he has a reparations plan to give back to me at some point, I would have thought I would have knew about it, but maybe I missed the news that day. Maybe I've been so busy doing some other stuff that I missed that.
So he introduced the resolution. He signed the bill, Assembly Bill 3121, the day after the first presidential debate. Just to put that in your mind. And
Okay. That means he's ruffling feathers.
yeah, and what the bill states is that, and what I really like about this, there's parts I don't like, of course, and there's parts I do like. What I like is that he put a very strict time frame. So by June 6th or June 1st of 2021, he wants the committee to have some kind of recommendation. So he's putting 5 people that he appoints, and then 4 chosen through the state legislature for a committee of 9, that by June 1st, they have to have some kind of recommendations, by June 1st, that committee has to be formed. And then by June 1st, 2022, they have to have some kind of recommendations set forward after they do their research. What I thought very interesting was that the bill is really targeting insurance companies, or that's one of the points that's one of the people who are called out in this bill, is that we want to talk to insurance companies. How were they benefiting from slave owner policies, etc.? Because people think that slavery didn't happen in California. My question for you is, what would you like to see based on your community knowledge in a reparations bill? Because they're talking about either direct payments or restitutions, which you tell me what
What does restitution look like?
That's what, see, it leaves it kind of open-minded, and I think that we need to be a little bit more specific. Of course, I think
well personally, like right now, why my great grandmother has only 2 living children out of the 14 from Vicksburg, Mississippi, I would like to see them see direct payment, because I know for a fact that they were on that land. They saw their mother work. They seen their father slave, and if not, they seen their grandmama. They seen their grandmama not be free, or they seen their great grandmama not be. It's just, at some point, my family really can sit back and sit at a round table and talk about how they were owned by this country, how they had to leave the dirty South to come to California to be able to get a little weight off their back. And how still today, with even having a Black mayor in San Francisco, you still can be called a nigga. And I'm not talking about in the form of endearment. If I said it to you, you would know I was not being derogatory towards you, nor no racist. In fact, you would be honored. Let's just be honest.
Right.
Let's just be honest. You'd be very honored if I said it to you,
Right.
And they'll be like, huh? What you mean by because everything that's ugly to you ain't ugly to me, and I'll take your ugly and make it something else for me. We had to do that. That's how Capoeira was formed, ugly fighting made to look like a beautiful Brazilian dance, just fighting, and you can't look like you fighting, so you have to make it look like you dancing. I just think of the language and the way we can, form language with each other out of different communities is the same way, I don't know. Reparations looks like direct payment to my family. I want my part. I am a direct descendant of it.
Right.
So is my mayor. so is a lot of our family. We want our money. Yes, we want our money from the United States of America.
And it's
so
very,
that we could make more, so that at this point right now, where they were scared to give it to us then, I think they would be even more scared to give it to us now, really, because we will open up Black businesses. We will not make Cadillac the #1 dealership in America. We will not go buy a bunch of KFC. We will not go out and buy a bunch of Jordans. We are now looking into Black entrepreneurship, digital coins, stocks and bonds. We kind of like want to do what y'all doing now. Y'all want to do what we doing on the videos and with the swag and with our hair, and we kind of want to live a little bit better, like kind
okay,
of like want to do what they doing.
I heard that. I guess my last question is I think that we are at a very pivotal moment in history. Obviously, I have the privilege of thinking that. I have plenty of Black friends who tell me, I have nothing, no reason to get excited for yet. But
The lies they tell.
okay, hey, you tell me, because I mean, I think it's a pretty big deal. First of all, before we even talk about skin color, how much California representation do we now have in our government, in our federal at the federal level,
I mean, if you
at the national level?
do we need to paint out that all of San Francisco is in charge right now?
Thank
That everybody from San Francisco, you had to come from here, get a slice of piece to live here, breathe here, set standards and get things did here. Yeah, yes, I do know. I have hope for
you.
myself. I have hope for you. I have hope for our communities. And I do believe that we are in a pivotal point. And I believe that if we do not take action and we don't take a chance at right now what's going on, we're gonna lose it. We're gonna lose it. We'll never get this back again. We'll never be able to get this opportunity and time to be a part of something so life changing that's going to go into the history books. This time is going to be in the history books, and you just want to be sitting on the right side of history on this one.
You're absolutely right. Before I let you go, well, first of all, thank you so, so much. This has been so enlightening. I I cannot thank you enough, because this is like exactly how I wanted the conversation to go. We always have our little questions, but like it's always better when you hit an issue and you keep going on that issue. And obviously, like we got to the heart of the matter pretty quick. Is there a final message that you have for the remaining 4%, or maybe even for Black people who don't aren't sure if they want to come back to San Francisco? Because I think we need to get those numbers up. I want to see the
In
San.
order for us to get those numbers up, we have to let our mayor build. We have to let her build. We have to get in bed with that ugly green or pink elephant, because greed is green and the elephant is pink and bright in the room. We have to let her build. If they build, they will come.
And you
If
mean
you let
literally
her
build
build
affordable
affordable
housing,
housing,
like literally.
they will be able to come back.
Okay.
I mean, that's where I think that the 4% will grow at. Um, and even with the 4% that's here, a lot of those 4% don't vote. I want you to understand that. I work hands on with the both historic communities, and the Bayview Hunters Point gets out and votes. Okay, they get out and vote. The Fillmore district is not a really good supporters in voting. I have witnessed that during the pandemic. I went to both sides during the pandemic to see how voting was done. And me being a campaign manager for Valley Brown, or her running for district supervisor this time around, it was really hard, but that 4%, I need them to be more active. And I need people who know me, are like me, come from my background like me, to step up and do what's right and put themselves more in the ownership and leadership in their community, instead of just being residents in their community.
This was wow. That's so incredible and so
Yeah,
perfect.
I'm tired of just being a resident. When you're a resident, you just reside and you come and you go and you have no real connection. I was born at Children's Hospital. My children were born at all three of them at UCSF Parnassus on the 16th floor. This is their home. I would like to leave it a little bit more better than I inherited it. I'm going to leave it better than I inherited. So, for the last 4%, just get up and be more, not less, because the less you are active, the less they're going to give you. And when I mean by they, I mean the issuers of the platters, the people who have the big chunks that want to give or have to give, they won't offer much, because who are they offering to? And then when the pot gets set out, everybody wants to grab, then that's when you see it's really more than 4%. They only count.
Then the numbers come up.
Yeah,
Right.
then the numbers come up, but no one was there for the hard work for the pot to be able to be set out. So it's a hard work. It's worth it, because I've seen it come out. I've seen what pushing them comes out and get did. Like I said, I'll always be able to go back to that point with being able to get Bayview Hunters Point, that Alice Griffith section, and them ready for redevelopment, and how involved they were, from making sure no families got evicted, the transferring of units went well. Even with me not living there, I was still able to keep up through the grapevine that things were still going as planned. So, when you get up and you talk and you speak up for yourself, you will get good things. You will. You will. I've seen what not getting you will get you. And it will get you half of a development back, and your cousin's gone misplaced, living down the highway, his family's ripped up and, torn apart. And you getting less votes if you run, and I getting less votes if I run. It's like a design for madness. So to the last 4%, let's just get up and really show that it's not 4, it's probably like 8 or 10. But they just lazy. It's a what do you call that? They laying in the trenches.
Well, thank you so much, Stormy. I hope we can do this again, because there is a definite.
If you ever need me for anything, I love the mission. My wife loves the mission. We'll come, we'll help. Anything that you ever need from our community. We're cousins, we're family. I feel nothing. I would love to help you. Love to help
I'm
you.
gonna send you one of these, by the way.
And I want you to see, I wore this t-shirt for you today. It says, "Women will save the world."
Yes, they will. Specifically Black women, like they saved our democracy.
Women will save the world. We will nurture it if Father Time gives us enough time to do so. So I appreciate you. Thank you. Hopefully I'll be able to reach out to you at some point and ask you to help me with my campaign in 2024. And thank you for just giving me an opportunity to tell my story. I appreciate it.
And I hope to give you many more. It has been a pleasure. You have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Rain out there, so it's nice cuddle weather.
It
But,
is.
honestly, I'm so glad we did this, Stormy. Thank you so much.
I'm glad. Anytime you need me, Eric, to get in on any level, Black, LGBTQ, hip hop, whatever. I mean, I have a plethora of areas that I've been exposed to. I'll help you with anything. And I know you got your hands in on some stuff going on with, you want to see the deportation laws and stuff, the getting back in, and them closing the encampments and stuff like that, and seeing the dreamers be released and stuff like that. Anything that you need, believe me, I will help you with it. Okay.
And it sounds like I definitely have the right person to help you.
Yeah, I will back you. I've been there before twice to introduce that bill. We just really need to see comprehensive